these systems are all empowering the men at the top. It's a bunch of BS.
Welcome down the rabbit hole, friends. I am completely shocked by an interview that just came out. Like, it's going on. It's just finishing right now. Kody Brown from Sister Wives went on the Mormon Discussions Incorporated podcast and spoke out against polygamy. He made statements like there came a time in his relationship with his wives where they all decided they did not want any of their daughters to live polygamy.
It's about them having power and control over their people. So they're signing marriages, and in order to keep their daughters virgins, they want them to marry when they're young.
He also says that the church really needs to step into the new century. I was completely shocked to hear all of this from him.
So let's go back to this question that you've got. How could they correct the mess they're in? Well, move into the century.
And there's a lot more in this podcast.
There came a point in my life when none of my wives wished any of our daughters into plural marriage. We basically came to a point as a family, kind of not even discussing it, just all of us kind of came to this point where we were like, I don't want to live. I don't want my daughter.
Did you catch that right at the end? I don't want to live. I mean, my daughters don't want to live.
What's the average marrying age now? Stop trying to marry people off when they're 19 and 20.
Amen. Yeah, make it 25, 30 before someone can make that kind of decision.
Well, they're looking for babies and you have a window. Okay,
easy to manipulate.
Okay, first and foremost, I have to say, like, I'm really shocked Kody would even go on a podcast like this where they sit down and he has to answer these kinds of questions about his religion. I honestly think it was really brave of him. Guys, he knows how much and how many of us, like what a big army is out there that don't like him and what he's done to our queens, Janelle and Christine, right? So I actually think it was pretty brave that he even went on this show to begin with.
Humility forbids me to act in such a way.
Yeah.
But I do hope to make time tomorrow to review.
There was also a live chat and people were going crazy in it before Kody even popped up on the screen.
The lawsuit at Radio Free Mormon.
The guys were clearly trying to chat about like something that happened earlier in the week, and people in the chat were basically like, Kody, Kody, Kody. I mean, that was just me. But no, actually, a lot of people were doing that.
Second.
And here's Kody Brown.
Kody.
Peace to everyone but Janelle and Christine. You know what I mean?
How are you?
Blessings.
Excellent.
Peace be unto you.
Peace
yeah,
out.
Peace,
glad to see
peace
you,
be
my
unto
friend.
you.
How awkward and terrible. That's when I was like, never mind. I'll just go to bed. But they redeemed themselves and I kept watching.
As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and then my experiences as a fundamentalist Mormon.
So this interview is kind of like set up like it's going to be about Mormonism in general, right? And then Kody's own personal experience as a fundamentalist Mormon and like being involved with polygamy, because this group talks in general, sort of like Mormon Stories podcast, which I also love to listen to, about issues in the Mormon fundamentalist faith. Gobble, gobble, gobble is gone.
Oops. I think he bumped a button again. Here we go.
The first thing we learned is that Kody has a lot of trouble dealing with computers.
There we go. Let's try that.
See that?
Yeah, we did.
Dayton actually had to run in from the RV and like help him out with it. I'm just kidding. That would have been awesome though.
There was an experience when I stepped on that stage to basically tell people about my life. It was as simple as this. I felt a sort of a sense of a calling.
Yeah, so here's when people like really started destroying him in the comments. I guess he can't see them like while he's being interviewed, thank God, because people were being really nasty to him and definitely calling him a narcissist, shaming him, that kind of stuff. And I get where they were coming from. I will say that this is like the beginning of the interview and they're asking him about his time on reality TV, like when he first started reality TV. And the first point that he makes, which I do think is really interesting, is that he says in any piece of literature or art, right, that there would have to be some kind of conflict. And in the beginning, when they first started the show, the conflict was, well, I would say the conflict was number one, they were fighting for survival. right? He doesn't specifically say that, but I think it's a little implied, like they were trying to make it, they need money, they have all these kids, whatever. They're in survival mode in some ways. That's really what I saw in the beginning. But he says that they also were really fighting. They were fighting them against their community and everyone out there to prove that they were worthy to live their lives the way that they want, that polygamy was okay, that living like this is right, that it's their right, and that they should be accepted by those around them, right? So this was the initial conflict that they had going on in their lives that they brought to the screen and that pulled people in, right?
I actually had a desire that the polygamy would eventually be legalized. And years ago, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I started talking about legitimacy.
Right? But as time went on and they gained money, he doesn't say this part, but this is the part I'm adding. When they gain the money and they're not in survival mode anymore, and what he says is when they stop having that conflict to be accepted, the conflict went internal to the family. And that is the conflict they've been dealing with for many seasons since then.
In the beginning, I was a little bit, I had a smile on my face. I was goofing off a lot. I was just trying to have fun with my family.
Yeah.
Eventually you have to just get serious about what's happening and the struggle that's happening. And
the incessant and ongoing unhappiness that all of them have about many of the things going on in their lives, and then they show it on the stage as part of their art, which they are displaying for us in a TLC reality show.
And certainly reality TV doesn't work if it's all Pollyanna. And it boiled down to where there was a lot of conflict. And then it eventually became a point where what we're portraying on the show is almost perpetually conflict.
By this point, the people in the live were just like yelling, Kody, tell us what you did with Janelle and Christine's money.
Conflict is the essence of literature.
Oh, Kody, get over yourself.
The experience altogether has been heartbreaking. Very, very challenging.
Again, I just want to say, like, I'm actually really surprised he's coming on and even talking about any of this. I'm glad that he is. It's good to see like this different side of him, where he's not just up on the big screen and he's being asked questions by these people. I do understand that the whole experience, as much as like I'm the type of person who's like, Christine and Janelle are my girls. I understand that everybody who was in this situation was hurt, especially the children. I do understand it's also a reality TV show, so I don't know that we're always getting the real deal of what's going on. I mean, he hasn't even talked to us about his fifth wife yet, so I don't know. I did find this interview really interesting to watch, the whole thing. Not just the parts where Kody's specifically talking about his wives and the drama of it. It's interesting to hear what he has to say about his theology. And there are so many little tidbits of information I've never heard from him before. I will say I'm really confused. Like, I'm really taken aback that he would go on this podcast with these interviewers when his brothers, like his biological brothers, have their own like YouTube channel and podcast where they talk a lot about this kind of stuff, especially theology. And we know that he was just with his brothers in Las Vegas not too long ago and did a very short video with them to put on their YouTube channel. I'm sure doing like a little bit of attention. Now those brothers, I believe their YouTube channel is called The Brothers Random. And, you know, I will say those brothers have said they don't want their show to be all about Kody and Sister Wives. So maybe that's why it didn't happen. But you would think he would go specifically to them. Just in the back of my mind, I'm wondering why he chose this specific podcast. Many people in the comments are saying, like, was this set up by TLC? Are you getting paid for this interview? That type of thing, which makes sense. I think TLC would they would definitely have to give him permission to do something like this because he has a contract and an NDA. We know that, allegedly. So it's interesting.
It'd be like once and twice in an episode, I'd do something I felt like was a little embarrassing. Sometimes it was quaint and cute even or whatever. But then it got to the point where I was doing something embarrassing that I was totally ashamed of.
Aww, Kody finds himself cute.
I'm still a man of faith. And so my prayers recently have been for Heavenly Father to help me stop doing things that I feel shame about.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, Kody does talk in this interview a lot about his faith. And basically, what I'm hearing is that he's moving away from a faith based upon what like other people and organizations believe and more into like his own personal spirituality, where I think like he and Robin are just holed up at their house and they do their own thing. That's literally what I think he's saying. He's like, I'm resting on the word of Jesus Christ. But he seems to be like, not really with the Latter-day Saints, not really with like any other Christian, not Baptist, whatever. Like just kind of like, you know, Jesus. I've got Jesus in my heart. So there we go. And I've got Robin in my McMansion off of Coyote Pass. So we're good.
When our first 5 years, I watched the episodes with a smile on my face, even if I did something embarrassing.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, Kody seems to be expressing in this interview, which I haven't heard before, like a lot of embarrassment over his own behavior. I don't know. Once again, is TLC like scripting this for him? Is he like, look, this is my chance to get back in with real people and let them know like I'm a real person and I see that it's embarrassing. Does he really feel that? So many questions that I have going on here.
Now I almost cannot bear to watch the episodes without getting physically ill. And so it's become overall a very sad experience.
Wow. I have to say that really hit me. And this is what kills me about the fact that we're like years behind. We're years behind. I think it is a sad experience. If I was in Kody's shoes, I would cry and I would get physically ill, especially if I watched earlier episodes when my family was all together and Christine was baking the shit out of Christmas dinner and Mary was making her stupid turkey and, you know, Robin was whining on the couch. I would cry for what has been lost. You know, polygamy, right or wrong or good or bad, like he's lost a lot beyond polygamy. He's lost really important and special relationships. And I don't know if he's trying to put this a little bit too much on the show, TLC, the reality show, or if I don't really see him stepping up and being like, this is on me and my behavior. But I mean, again, we're not addressing all of that in this interview. I hate that we're years behind because I do think like, if we were to be filming and getting the reality show of what's going on right now, we'd be getting a different kind of Kody. And we'd probably be seeing a lot of things from a different angle in certain ways. Okay. There is so much more in this interview. You've got to check it out. I'm going to link it below. I will probably do additional videos about the interview because I'm super interested in it and I have a lot to say. I would also love to hear what Moroni Jessup has to say about this interview. That would be quite interesting. I know he's still off in Europe, but I'd love to hear back from him. So I'll keep a lookout for that. And I would like to thank all of you for joining me here tonight. I hope you'll join me again when we head down another rabbit hole.